before there was a lawsuit, before there was a trademark fight, before two brothers ended up on opposite sides of a courtroom in their 80s, there was one death that quietly set all of it in motion. His name was O'Kelly Isley. And if you know the Isley brothers at all, you know the voice, you know the sound, but there's a good chance you don't know his story. He wasn't the flashiest brother. He wasn't the one belting the falsetto on this old heart of mine. But without him, there is no Isley Brothers at all. He was the one who started it. O'Kelly was born on Christmas Day 1937 in Cincinnati, Ohio, the oldest of the Isley children. He was the one who pulled his younger brothers, Rudolph, Ronald, and Vernon, together to sing gospel in church as kids. That's the root of everything. Before the record deals, before the fame, 4 brothers singing hymns because their mother wanted it that way. Then tragedy hit early. Their youngest brother Vernon was killed in a bicycle accident when he was just 13. It could have ended the group before it even started. Instead, O'Kelly, Rudolph, and Ronald kept going as a trio in Vernon's memory. That decision, made by teenagers grieving their brother, became the foundation of one of the most influential catalogs in American music. O'Kelly co-wrote Shout. He was there for Twist and Shout. He was there when It's Your Thing hit number 2 on the charts in 1969. For nearly 4 decades, he stood alongside Rudolph and Ronald through doo-wop, through Motown, through the T-Neck Records years, through disco. Every era the Isleys reinvented themselves into, O'Kelly was in the room. But by the early 1980s, his health was failing. He was battling cancer. He was dealing with obesity and cardiac disease, conditions that forced him to lose a significant amount of weight, visible right there on the cover of the group's 1985 album, Masterpiece. He stepped back from touring. He still contributed to recordings when he could. His last appearance with the group was on the song Good Hands for the Wildcats film soundtrack, released the same year he died. On March 31, 1986, O'Kelly suffered a sudden heart attack at his home in Alpine, New Jersey. He was rushed to Inglewood Hospital. He was pronounced dead at just 48 years old. He left behind 2 sons, Frank and Doug. He was buried at George Washington Memorial Park in Paramus, New Jersey. The group's next album, Smooth Sailin', was dedicated to him. It included a tribute song called Send a Message, written by Rudolph and Ronald as a direct homage to the brother they'd just lost. In 1992, O'Kelly was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame alongside his brothers. Recognition he never got to see in person. Here's where the story stops being just a tribute and starts becoming something much bigger. When O'Kelly died, he didn't just leave behind a legacy. He left behind a business. The Isley brothers had operated for decades as what's legally known as a common law partnership. 3 brothers, 1 name, 1 shared pool of money and rights. No formal paperwork spelling out exactly who owned what. And according to later court filings, when O'Kelly passed, his share of that partnership, his interest in the group, and in the Isley Brothers trademark itself, didn't just disappear. It got divided. Rudolph and Ronald, the 2 surviving founding brothers, each walked away with what would later be described in a federal lawsuit as a 50% stake in the name the Isley Brothers. Not a formal contract. Not a notarized agreement. Just an understanding between 2 grieving brothers about what fairness looked like. For decades, that unwritten agreement held. Rudolph stepped back from performing himself in 1989, but according to him, he stayed involved behind the scenes, helping negotiate deals, keeping a hand in the business even after he left the stage. Ronald kept touring, kept recording, kept the name alive in the public eye for another 30-plus years. But an unwritten 50-50 handshake from 1986 is exactly the kind of thing that becomes a problem decades later, when memories fade, when lawyers get involved, and when one brother decides to put the name in writing, only under his own. In 2021, Ronald filed to trademark the Isley Brothers solely in his own name. And when Rudolph found out, he pointed straight back to 1986. Straight back to the moment O'Kelly died, and the 2 of them agreed to split what he left behind. That single agreement, made in grief, without a lawyer in the room, became the exact foundation of a federal lawsuit 37 years later. O'Kelly never could have known that the fortune and the fight he left behind would still be unresolved when both of his surviving brothers were gone too. He co-wrote the songs. He built the foundation. And the way his estate was quietly handled in 1986 ended up shaping a legal battle none of them saw coming. That's the part of the Isley Brothers story that rarely gets told, because it doesn't have a chorus you can sing along to. It's just paperwork, grief, and a handshake that outlived everyone who made it. If you want the full story of what happened next, the trademark filing, the lawsuit, and how it all ended, check out the rest of this series. And if you're new here, subscribe, because there's a lot more to this family than the music ever let on.